Hello, what is going on? And today, welcome to another one of my YouTube videos. And in this video, we're going to talk about why F1 is one of the world's fastest growing sports. Everyone is silently aware of this, yet putting it into numbers, talking about it, going over the reasons as to how this has happened, especially over the last 2 years to 18 months, is another story. And we're also going to talk about how F1 is on a road to 1 billion fans by April 2022. So strap in, sit tight, as we look at the three main reasons why F1 is one of the world's most growing sports. But before we even think about beginning, like and subscribe as usual, and wait to the end for what I would like you to comment on the video. So like and subscribe, don't even think about it, just do it. And without further ado, let's begin. Reason number one, and this may be a surprise, but reason number one is COVID-19, the global pandemic. Now, since Liberty Media took over Formula One in 2017, they've had a very modern, philosophical approach to social media, and this began to bear real fruit during the pandemic. So this is sort of COVID-19 / social media for Formula One, and as Liberty Media took Formula One out of Bernie Ecclestone's Stone Ages and into the 21st century, like I said, during the pandemic, this began to really bear fruit, as most sports around the globe saw a decline in viewership and engagement on social media. F1 witnessed a 35% rise. In followers, that is. All of Formula One's social media channels grew: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, everything grew, despite non-ticketed races, and yet a declined calendar down to 17 races from what was planned to be 21 or 22 in 2020, down to 17 races. So in spite of that, they achieved that growth and engagement and 35% increase in followers, like I said, in spite of 17 races and non-ticketed events with obviously no spectators. The TV audience, on the other hand, stayed at 87.4 million, which is only 4.5% less than 2019. However, that is the effects of the global pandemic. Less races mean that number is naturally going to be lower. And all sports around the globe suffered a decline in viewership because of this. But followers is one thing, engagements is quite another. Whilst the sport witnessed a 35% increase in followers, the more staggering statistic is that from 2019 to 2020, they witnessed 99% increase on engagements on social media. Here's a graphic to show that, and as we can see from this graphic, Formula One has crushed the opposition and other sports during this period. I mean, the Premier League only saw 3%, the next best after 99% from Formula One is 48% from the Bundesliga, and that was mainly because they were one of the top 5 major leagues to start playing football again during the pandemic. So the pandemic definitely played into Formula One's hands, and you could say they not only took advantage of it, but I think it suited that sport well, because they again got started pretty quickly during COVID-19. So what's the upshot of this? Well, it's helped Formula One connect with Gen Y and Gen Z, the modern millennial. It's attracted it to a younger audience, which is what Formula One have been trying to do for a very long time, and through social media, they're definitely starting to and will continue to achieve this. The age bracket 16 to 35, which is more or less Gen Y and Gen Z, saw a 77% increase in that age bracket demographic, and they now make up 43% of F1's audience. Now, I remember making a TikTok before the start of the 2021 season saying how F1's younger audience weren't engaging in the sport enough, and I think that those statistics have definitely put that argument to bed. 14% of Formula One's viewers are below the age of 25. Yep, just 14%. And to make matters worse, the average age of a viewer is 40. And anyone involved in the sport knows that this is one of its biggest problems, and it's something I would love to play a part in changing. Like all sports, it has its issues, but we can go into more detail on that in a separate YouTube video. Speaking of YouTube, my new video is out, so go and have a look, yes? It's a problem that Formula One have really started to get on top of, and their strategies in the last 18 months to 2 years to a year have really started to bear fruit, like I said at the start, and it's a contributing factor as to why Nielsen Sports estimate that by April 2022, Formula One will have 1 billion fans. 1 billion. That's crazy. I couldn't believe my eyes when I read that. I thought, probably a typo, they mean a million, but I checked other websites, they all say 1 billion fans by April 2022. So only a forecast, but that's a pretty crazy forecast, I must say. So yeah, COVID-19 and the impact of social media has really helped F1 to grow in the younger audience especially. And the good thing is there's no sign of it stopping anytime soon. These numbers and those figures are only going to continue growing, which is the plan. The second major reason for F1's major growth at the moment is a focus on America. Now, Formula One has a very checkered history with America in the past, with there not really being a consistent place for races to be held until 2012, the Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas. But before that, and for 5 years, there wasn't an American Grand Prix, and it was very sporadic. There wasn't really, like I said, a consistent place to host the American Grand Prix. And of course, we had the 2005 Indianapolis debacle where 5 cars or 6 cars started the race because of tyre safety. And that lived on in the memory of the Americans of Formula One. The main reason cited though for F1's lack of popularity in the past in America is a lack of exposure. There's no marketing, there's no feel of F1 in the US. There's also no American driver to get behind. We had Scott Speed back in 2007 and there was, what's his name? Alexander Rossi. I knew it was something like that. Slipped my mind. But yeah, there was him for a couple races in 2015, 2014. But yeah, apart from that, there hasn't been a consistent American driver for a very long time. Oh yeah, and another reason why Formula One never really took off in America previously was that the timings are so inconvenient for Americans. Us Europeans and British don't know how easy we have it with Central European time and British summertime races. In America, to them, that means 4 a.m, 5 a.m, 6 a.m. starts. It's not convenient, and if it's not a big enough sport in your country, if you're not that into it, you're not going to get up for it if you could just watch IndyCar or NASCAR at your leisure in the afternoon. Do you know what I mean? But in 2017, when Liberty Media, the American mass media company, bought Formula One, they put emphasis on connecting and engaging with the US fans and sponsors in an attempt to get the sport infiltrated into the US. Liberty Media, like I said, prioritised US fans and US sponsors, and they really turned COTA, Austin, Texas, Circuit America's track, into a festival of entertainment that weekend, really promoting the sport as a festival of the sport in America, the perfect advertisement in their country, and also Liberty Media, knowing how big the American economy is and how lucrative that market can be, they want to put a lot of emphasis on that country. And now, in the last few years, those efforts have started to bear fruit, and as a result, in 2018, Formula One struck a broadcasting deal with ESPN, the main sports broadcaster in America, for ESPN to have exclusive rights to the sport, along with a few other media companies and broadcasters, so F1 was now easily accessible in the US, solving the problem of exposure. These companies, especially ESPN, saw the potential of Formula One in America, and as a result now, their viewing numbers are, well, borderline exponential. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix of 2021 was the most watched Formula One race in American history, peaking at 1.04 million viewers on ESPN, an American record for a Formula One race. And in 2020, it averaged in 2021, in 2021, ESPN has averaged 911,000 viewers, which is a 55% increase on 2020 and a 36% increase on 2019. So clearly the upwards trend here for viewers on ESPN is, well, off the charts. And like I mentioned before, the success of Austin, Texas, COTA, well, it's entertainment at its best these days. We saw in 2021 was a prime example of how the market's grown in the US. We see celebrities there. It increases the profile of the sport, which has led to the Miami Grand Prix in 2022, a second American Grand Prix. That's pretty cool, and Formula One say that there is endless scope for more American Grand Prix in future. And now, all on top of this, there's starting to be a bit of noise, bit of speculation about US IndyCar drivers getting a chance in Formula One. And the third and final reason is probably the most obvious, probably the one you already know. Drive to Survive. This is probably the biggest reason, and the good that this series has done for the sport is unimaginable. Just quickly, what is Drive to Survive? It allows conditioned and new fans, whoever it may be, to watch the sport from a new side they've never seen before. They get a glimpse into the paddock and get to see the inner workings of the championship and the sport, the rivalries and friendships, and get to know some of the members of Formula One, the key players, key characters on a more personal level. They get to see the human side of what seems to be quite a mechanical and structured sport sometimes. Drive to Survive has had a massive impact on the 77% growth of the age bracket 16 to 35, like I mentioned earlier, because this kind of documentary series is a format that really appeals to that age group and that generation. Drive to Survive was once again the brainchild of Liberty Media and has been dubbed by many as a marketing silver bullet, which it has been, and when it debuted in 2018, it's seen success and never looked back. The series has ushered in a whole new type of potential fans and people who never may have been exposed to the sport ever in the past and never may have become fans of the sport are now hooked on the sport and love it. Everyone needed to appeal to a younger audience, and they did just that. That's what BBC journalist Jenny Gow said. She said these new fans may not be purists, but it doesn't matter, and she is absolutely right. Any kind of new fan is a good fan, don't care who they are, because the sport's longevity, and I have the sport's best interest at heart, so I don't care who they are, whether you call them a fangirl or a fanboy, whatever you want to say, for watching Drive to Survive or Drive to Survive fans, whatever negative connotations you have around those, if any of you watching have that, you need to drop them, because new fans means the sport's growing, and new fans is only a good thing for the sport. Now, obviously, the main criticism with Drive to Survive is that some scenes are dramatised, falsified even at times, but those kind of series, they need that drama, and I think Netflix have that license to create that drama because it needs to be made. I think that's what gets people hooked. People love that kind of stuff. So although those, including me, who know exactly what happened in that race, in that moment, for instance, may not see this scene or the moment and think, oh, that's kind of a little bit not true, but we'll go with it. I'm happy with that because it means that I know someone else watching somewhere else is enjoying that moment and really hooked on it. It's really nation, but you know what I mean. As long as it's not, too far-fetched, it's absolutely fine. And the impact of Drive to Survive is seen in Bahrain 2021. Sky F1 reported record viewers of 2.23 million followers. The most they've ever received for a Formula One race. And ESPN in America received 879,000 viewers, which is a record for them at the time, which is more than any race in 2020 for them. So clearly Drive to Survive, among other things, is having an impact there. Drive to Survive has also encouraged people to actually go to the races and get a slice of the action and the atmosphere for themselves. Because people watch it at home and think, you know what, I want a piece of that action. They go to the race and they have a great time, and they get hooked on F1 even more. Now, those who watched the 2018 season may remember that Ferrari and Mercedes opted out of the series for Drive to Survive, sceptical of it at first, but then when the 2019 series came along, Series 2, they didn't hesitate to get involved, knowing how much of a marketing goldmine that it was and how good for the sport the show was. However, Haas, on the other hand, in 2018, were not afraid to get involved, and they saw the potential of the show to grow their fan base and get some more publicity on what was at the time still a very young team.
Nice. Well done. Betty. Montagne.
Thank you. Yeah, with the big boys, yeah. Pretty cool. We start fifth and sixth.
When we started, everybody told us we will fail, but Gene supported me all the way, and
it's proving that everyone in the paddock now knows the documentary's worth. Also, we really shouldn't underestimate how unprecedented this access Netflix get. They get everything. They don't get nothing staged. They're not not restricted or prohibited from anything. They get all the raw footage. There's no hiding for teams and drivers. Their true personalities and their true colours come out, which again helps viewers and audience members and fans connect with these people on a much more human level. Drive to Survive is not going anywhere, and it's set to continue for a long time, thank God. And we've got Series 4 at the start of 2022, covering the 2021 season. I did try and find some graphs to demonstrate the impact of Drive to Survive, but all these graphs kind of just represent what I've mentioned already. In facts, I put them up here anyway, and a lot of them were confusing as well. I mean, what the that? Who can read that? Anyway, yeah. So yeah, there we go. They are the three main reasons as to why Formula 1 has grown so much in the last few years. Drive to Survive, the focus on America, and COVID-19 / social media. Yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned something. Hope you can take something away from it. My main takeaway for me is, 1 billion fans by April 2022 forecasted. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? 1 billion, an eighth of the world. Anyway, yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below. Comment below how you got into F1. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.